One thing I must say is you're talking about these different layers and how you can dig down and you've got these different layers. I am just so jealous of you. I live in the desert in Las Vegas, and when I go in my backyard, it's just dirt and rocks, and then I dig down more and more rocks, and it's nowhere near what you have over there, and completely different climate. So I just want to kind of emphasize that not everybody can go in their backyard and dig down and find some.
You know what? I'm about to blow your mind, Chris. I'm going to blow your mind right now, because that's what I'm working on. That's what I'm working on. I'm working on turning sand into a viable soil. So we can turn sand into soil quickly. And I'm proving it right now just by simply adding the right biology and adding the proper amount of moisture to that sand and that silt and that clay and that organic matter. So the more biology I've seen that we can add to this, the faster it goes. And as long as that, it's really, I think, all about that flowing water, and it's picking up that oxygen in the water from the bubbles and the waterfalls. And that oxygen is what's really bursting that biology up on the edges of this creek wall. The creek wall has to come up and over into the soil, so the water just doesn't flood into the soil pockets. So how was I going to get the water? That was the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge of this whole thing. And that was my idea behind the whole project, was because I was growing in 30-gallon bags in a 4x4 grassroots living soil bed. And I wasn't using like a blue mat system. I wasn't using irrigation. I was just like, I'm going to do this by hand. I'm going to figure out how to do it by hand, and I'm going to water by hand, and I'm going to make sure it's always watered, and I'm going to make sure it's always the perfect amount of moisture. And come to find out, for me, that's like impossible for me to do. Like, for some reason, I just couldn't get the right amount of water. I kept getting dry pockets. I kept getting hydrophobic pockets in the soil in certain places, especially when the soil would shrink, around the edges, when you have all this life in it and it just wants to contract on you. Around the edges of the bed, just was getting too much air, and I just couldn't figure it out personally. And I was like, you know what? How can I get this water to actually in the bed with? And I noticed a lot of people were using tanks. They would set up a system like what you have, and it's a water tank outside their tent, and it runs a line down, and gravity feeds it down into your blue mat system or your drip line or whatever. And you got to set your valves, get it just right, and it'll drip and create that moisture that we're looking for the biology to do their job. This same process happens on the side of that creek. Same process, but it's wicking. It's full of all this more life than you could ever imagine under a microscope. It's insane. But once that water breaks that edge and comes into that soil, it dries out instantly. Like, it hits that soil, and it's like, so how do I get it to wick all the way across? And get it evenly, like get that moisture evenly across the whole soil bed. And maintain that moisture. Like, maintaining it is key, because if you can't maintain it, then things dry out in certain areas. And once they dry out in certain areas, things cyst up. They don't hold water anymore, and things don't really die, but they don't do anything. They're sitting there kind of cysted up, waiting for their conditions to change. And that's kind of what bacteria and all these things do. Once the system goes dry, everything cysts up, and they just sit back and wait. It's kind of how nature works, like if a meteor hits or something, and something crazy happens and they need to cyst up and go dormant, they can't. And then when the conditions get right again, they just pop back to life. And that's what I was seeing, in my beds. I was like, holy shit, these little pockets here and there. As soon as I do this and as soon as I do that, everything just comes back to life, no matter how bad it was. And I was like, damn, it's all about really this biology that I'm pumping into this system, from the fish waste to the turtles, the shrimps, and the clams, and all the way down to the worms and the nematodes, all the way down to the smallest little thing, the bacteria. And I actually got to see, a guy, I grow soil down in Florida. I sent him 4 bags. So I have 4 beds in my big grow. And I sent him a sample of each one. And each one was just off the chain, just nematodes. There was 60 different nematodes in one little slide, like one little drop, like on the slide. And we were counting like 20, 30 nematodes just hanging out, full belly. You see all the stuff inside their bellies just pooping out the back end, and ciliates and diatoms. And the diatoms you usually find in water, so all these things, this aquatic biology and the terrestrial biology, the sand and the silt and the clay is that bridge to those 2 worlds. Okay, so you have a terrestrial side, then you have that aquatic side, and that edge of that creek where all these meet, the biology is just so diverse and so vast. Once it takes over, once the worms run through, and you set the system up properly, this is where the horizontal system comes into play. So the horizontal system is just like a grow box, like an earth box. Those things have a lining at the bottom to separate the water from the soil. So you water in this tube, and the water runs down a tube, and it kind of wicks so the roots go down. And same thing, except I'm using the sand, the silt, and the clay on top of that reservoir action, on top of that rock that we've got at the bottom, all that pea gravel at the bottom. The next, what we fill all that rock in at the bottom with is the sand, the silt, the clay. The same stuff that's in the creek, same stuff that's in the pond goes at the bottom. Then the soil, then another layer of sand, silt, and clay. And that's the sandwich. Those are the layers that we're talking about, those horizons that we're talking about. Once those horizons mix naturally, so the worms will naturally take all that inch and naturally mix it. Don't mix it all the way through. That's not how it works. They will naturally mix that sand. So once they've run through it, turned it into worm castings, they'll push, all that stuff gets pushed down into the system, into that soil. The roots push it down in as they grow. All these things take into effect, and it just becomes this ecosystem where, as long as the water flows, and that's all I have to really do is top the water off in the pond and make sure it flows freely. And that's it. It'll take care of itself.
This FTS clip was brought to you by AC Infinity, leaders in garden innovation. Use discount code TheStash15 at checkout to save some money on your order.
From the Stash Podcast.